All right, and welcome back to the Betting Pros podcast. Today, we break down UFC 303 from a sports gambling perspective. My name is Seth Woolcock, and today I am putting them up with a legend in the MMA betting world. He's the founder of Mad Lab MMA, and without a doubt, a properly jacked individual. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Iurato. Mike, how we doing today, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Excited for what's been a fight card that's kind of been changing ever since we got it initially. It feels like every time I look at it, we have a different fighter coming up for grabs here.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. And, fights just keep falling off on other cards. You just got Macy Barber falling off of the Rose Namajunas card. I don't know what it is. The last couple of months, we've kind of been hexed, but the UFC does a tremendous job getting into that war room and making it right. So they actually did a really good job with this. This is actually... parts of this card are better than it was before it fell apart.
Yeah, 100%. The fights will be getting underway this Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas with the main card beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern time. How are we feeling about this card in general? No Conor McGregor, no Khalil Roundtree after they're pulling out. Are we still excited? Are vibes still high for you, Mike?
Yeah, I have a good grasp on this card. I really do like a lot of the matchups, especially the Ortega and Lopez addition that they put. I thought that was a great addition. I'm super excited for this card from top to bottom. It's going to be really good.
Awesome. On today's program, we're going to go through the light heavyweight title bout, then the featherweight bout, another light heavyweight bout, and then we'll cover Mike's best of the rest. But first, I wanted to remind everyone, if you are listening here on YouTube, please subscribe and comment below, because when you do, you could win a free upgrade to BettingPros Premium. Whether you're looking for exclusive perks, top-rated player props, or custom analysis, BettingPros Premium has the tools to help you cash more bets, plain and simple. It's also the easiest way to support people like myself here at Betting Pros. And let's start with a light heavyweight title bout between the champion Alex Pereira and Yeri Prohaska. Alex Pereira, former kickboxer. He's only been in the UFC for a couple of years now, Mike, but has really already stamped his mark on the sport. Former middleweight champion, now the current light heavyweight champion. This is a rematch. The last two times these guys fought, it was UFC 295 back in November of 2023, where Pereira eventually wins by TKO. Do things change this time around, Mike?
Yeah, it's tough. I never like big fights like this on short notice when there's this much high magnitude in a fight. When you have the belt on the line, I never like two guys coming in kind of, half cocked in their camps. But I will say this. I will say that, you kind of got to understand that Pereira doesn't have that much to lose. You know what I mean? If you think about it, they're giving him a very big bag of money for this because he's saving a card.
Sure.
Signing him up for the card. Also, in that contract, trilogies are huge. So he's getting an automatic rematch if he loses this fight. So it's kind of a win-win for him. He's getting a lot of money. He could still keep the belt and kind of move Yeri at it away for good, winning 2 in a row, or he gets a rematch. So I understand why I took it, but I don't like it. He did have a foot injury. You got to wonder, how both of these guys are coming in. I know, Pereira was away in Australia. He was doing media obligations and stuff like that. So how prepared are both of these guys? Are we going to get them both at their best? I don't see much value either side on the line because to me, it's like it's still a wonderment. You know what I mean? It's like how in shape are they? How good is their conditioning? But, when you do look at the numbers and you do look at rematches, more times than not, the guy who won the first time wins the second time. You know what I mean? So one thing I did notice about Yeri is in all his fights, he does not learn one lesson. He does not check leg kicks. He refuses to check leg kicks. And that's a big issue for him. It's been a big issue for him. He does get a little chaotic. He had a good fight against Alexander Rakic, but he did get very reckless in there. And you can't get reckless against somebody like Poatan. So I do like him in this spot, but I would be, I would say and still, but I would be very hesitant on going to the window and placing that bet.
Okay, so kind of a pass for you rather than drinking the juice on the champion or going with the contender here?
Yeah, there's probably props that you could look at, but we discussed before the show, the props aren't even out yet for most of these fights.
Right.
So, there's over and unders that you can look at. There's obviously combinations of ways they can win. I would have to see those lines, but as of a straight bet, it's probably one because, like I said, it is short notice. I'd probably stay away from it and just enjoy it.
Okay, so a no bet on the money line for Mike here in the title fight. Let's move to the featherweight bout of the night. Number 3 contender Brian Ortega is going up against number 14 contender Diego Lopez. However, Ortega's the dog in this fight. Is that because he's only fought once since 2022, Mike, or is this line more about Lopez being the younger, longer fighter in this match?
I think there's a lot of recency bias in this. And if you look at the MMA world, every month, every day, every year, it gets filled with more and more casuals. And
Sure.
these guys kind of bite down on the hype trains. And that's one thing that we do at the Mad Lab MMA is we kind of fade the public. You know, when they go one way, we try to go the other way because a lot of that is casual money coming in. I don't see a reason why Ortega should be a dog here. I think there is value on Ortega here. He's the much more seasoned fighter. We know how durable he is. You know, Diego Lopes, this is a guy who I absolutely love. He's made me a lot of money in the past. But this is a big step up in competition, and he's going up against a guy who is a better grappler than him. He's extremely durable. He's showed us that he has very good striking. He's got, you know, levels more of experience. And it's just, how do you pass up that value? When you look at all the check boxes and you go from veteran savvy to striking to grappling to experience to cage hours, it all kind of falls in his favor. You go in momentum and you're going on the Diego Lopes favor. He's got the momentum. But if you look at his cage time, he's got less than like a round and a half in cage time. You know what I mean? So in the UFC. So these are all factors you got to play in. So as far as a value play, if you guys are looking for some value deep into this card, there's absolutely value on Brian Ortega. And also, there's also value on Brian Ortega if you guys have DraftKings 3.5 rounds. So basically that means he's getting 3.5 rounds, which means if it does go to the cards, if it goes to the cards, then he just cannot have one judge give him a 30-27. If he loses 29-28, you win your bet. If he wins the fight, you win your bet. So ultimately, he can actually lose the fight and just not get completely smoked out of the cage, and you're getting at it minus 125. So there's value there too. But I think there's more value on the Ortega side because Lopes are still got question marks on him.
Okay. All right. So some value there on Brian Ortega, the number 3 contender in this matchup. Let's keep it moving. But first, I want to remind everyone to download the BettingPros app. It's available on iOS and Android app stores. Use the Sportsbook Sync feature to automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks and in just one spot. You can easily track your bet performance, bet type, and also you can get personalized bet recommendations tailored towards your interests. So make sure you're checking out the BettingPros app today. Mike, let's look at this light heavyweight bout. Number 10, Anthony Smith is going to go up against Roman Dolidze. Anthony Smith, seemingly been around forever, just fought and won by submission in UFC 301, but 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Meanwhile, Roman comes back and minus 156 to get his hand raised here. He is favored on the money line. He's about the same size, about the same age, but 0-2 in his last 2 fights since 2003. What happens here? Like, is this a misprice or is this the hype train rightfully behind Roman?
Yeah, no, this is a misprice. When, you know, all my radars go up for this. The reason why I back off of fights like this sometimes is because guys like Anthony Smith are so lackadaisical. He comes in sometimes and he shows the world like, I'm not ready to go yet. Sure. And then he comes in and he looks like he's ready to go. You know, so, but if you look at this spot, the one thing that raises my radar on this is that Roman Dolidze is a 185er. Okay, he's coming up to fight 205 here. This is a guy who seemingly has cardio issues, you know, when he has a full camp. So now he's coming in on 1 week's notice. He's bumping up to 205 to fight Anthony Smith, who now, you know, he just had a huge win in his last fight. That obviously now, you know, this is a guy who believes everything. He believes he's always one fight out of a title shot, one fight. So he's got momentum in his favor. He's also had about 5-6 weeks to train. So you're getting an Anthony Smith who is a more seasoned fighter. Yeah, is he washed? Has he been in wars? Yeah, but he's been 5 to 6 weeks in camp. He's fighting at 205. Dolidze's coming up from 185 to 205 with cardio issues, 1 week of training. All signs and signals are pointing towards Anthony Smith at plus money, and that's who I'm actually picking to win this fight. But you also got to remember, when you take your money and you go to the window for Anthony Smith, you're taking a huge risk, you know, on which Anthony Smith is going to show up. But so there, I do see the value, but I also understand why somebody would be hesitant on dropping their money on Anthony Smith. But I'm officially going to pick him to win that fight.
So a little more volatile is kind of what I'm hearing out of Anthony Smith's camp. Is if it's the guy that we think it is and he shows up, plus 120, plus 122 is a pretty good number for him. But if not, you know, we might end up getting burned here. So still playing him, still backing him, it sounds like, here on Anthony Smith. Glad to hear it there. Let's get to the best of the rest here, Mike. Really kind of a fun card top to bottom, the prelims, the early prelims, it's all really cool here. And I love the prelims personally, for someone who's a casual UFC fan. It kind of helps them get into the sport a little bit more here. And some pretty decent fighters in the prelims this week. We have Marc-Andre Barrios, we have Cub Swanson. We also, on the main card, have a really good women's bantamweight fight. So what other fights you have circled, and any other best bets you can share with our Betting Pros audience, Mike?
Yeah, like I said, a lot of the props aren't really out for this, so it's tough. But I will give you a dog that you can definitely keep an eye on, and that's Michelle Waterson. And the reason why I say that is because Jillian Robertson, this is a girl who I always look at her fights when she fights. She's a very good grappler on the Dim Thomas. But the thing with her camp and her team and her, they're so pigeonholed on grappling. They just refuse to get this girl striking going. She uses her striking as a means to an end to get it to the ground. And that's all great, because when you get somebody who wants to engage with you, you're going to be, she's in the bonus. But someone like Michelle Waterson, even though she's aging, this is a girl that comes from a karate background. She stays on the outside. She's a natural atom weight. She's very fast. She uses front kicks to keep you away. So I think Jillian Robinson may have a hard time, clearing that space and getting in on Michelle Waterson without getting tagged. So I could see this fight going to the cards, kind of being like a sloppy fight, and I do see some value on Waterson at plus 155. So if that's something that you guys, or if you guys are dog hunters, I know there's some people out there that only bet dogs. That's a really good dog to look at. And if you look at her number, see her number for the 3.5 isn't even out yet, but the plus 155, that was the first thing that jumped off the page with me. That is a clear path for her to win this fight. And even if she does get taken down, she's very wiry. She's got pretty decent grappling herself, and she will get back to her feet. So I could see Jillian Robertson maybe bullying her in there, big sister in her in there, but she's got to catch her first. And all rounds start off on the feet, where Michelle Waterson's going to be in a huge, advantage. So that's one I would definitely look at. As far as the other ones, they're kind of tough. These are the ones I kind of dive into the props and stuff like that. But like I said, for some reason, Wednesday morning, they're still not out yet. So.
Okay, so keep your head on a swivel is what I'm hearing heading into the weekend. Hopefully some more prop lines get announced. And we can follow Mike over at Mad Lab MMA and everything you're doing there to make sure we're up to date with all the content that you're putting out and all the best bets that you can recommend as the week progresses. How else can we best support you, Mike? What else do you have on tap this week? And how can we best support you, not just for UFC 303, but for the rest of the UFC fighting year here, man?
Yeah, well, we got a website called the UFC, the UFC.com. We have a website called the MadLabMMA.com. You guys can go over there and check it out. We have weekly, monthly, and yearly memberships. We have a great community, private discords. I do 15,000 word breakdowns every week. I do private podcasts where we throw events where I have DraftKings and FanDuel tournaments where we give away boxes of cards and clothing and stuff like that. And we just have a really great community. So if you guys are interested in that, come try us out. You can follow me on Twitter at MadLabMMA. We also do have a YouTube channel as well, Mad Lab MMA. Everything is kind of Mad Lab MMA. So you can kind of follow me in all those the ways. I'm pretty much every platform. You can find me, TikTok, everywhere.
All right, you heard the man. Open up a new tab here on YouTube. Go to Mad Lab MMA. Check out their website and all the great content Mike is putting out. Mike, thanks so much for your time. As for me, easiest way to support us here at Betting Pros, hit that subscribe button, download the Betting Pros app, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep it in between. Thank you.